Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello, brothers and sisters. I just wanted to make a quick stream because I see a lot of people replying to, they're making their responses to Daniel from Muslim Skeptic, because he brought a presentation forth on regards to how people are rebuking the munkar, the evil of certain leaders in the Middle East because of what they're programming the youth to start thinking. And obviously over time, when certain ideas take over a population, they start to move away from serving God and rather serving themselves and serving a purpose that isn't what Allah has prescribed for us. But I see a lot of people's responses in regards to that. You can't talk about the leaders because it's going to cause a greater harm than whatever is happening. Brothers, you guys are sitting in the comfort from your house, okay? Most of you are coming from the West, or you're sitting in a very comfortable place in the Gulf because, again, you're very polite in following the system rather than speaking the truth. And the people who pray, as God said in the Quran, وَإِنَّهُمْ بِشَهَادَاتِهِمْ لِقَائِمُونَ. So you have to be upright when you witness things, and you have to say what you're witnessing. Now, when it comes to the issue of these madkhalis, these people that want to sit there and support these rulers. So let's just put a baseline, and for you to make a response for me and to explain to me what a tyrannical ruler is. Okay, what's someone who's a tyrant? This is regardless if a person believes in God in the last day and claims to be a Muslim. What's a tyrant in your eyes? Now, I can tell you something from a personal experience. I was put in jail in Egypt for 2 weeks because the person at the pulpit, the sheikh who was giving the Friday sermon, wanted to sit there and talk about a certain event that was ongoing at the time in Egypt. And all I did was go up there and ask him a question. And it was more so on the side of the politics. And I was asking him about a situation in Syria, nothing to do with Egypt. And then the next thing I find is I was kidnapped. And I was kidnapped and I was stuck into what they call a political jail with some of the best people I met in Egypt. Doctors, engineers, people who know the four fiqhs, the jurisprudence and the way you can understand your religion. Some of the nicest people. I was left with no food and no water other than the tap water that was provided from the toilet. You understand me? And the only people that fed me were those brothers, these Muslims. And I can tell you something. Those people were put under torture. They would take in Egypt, and these are done by other so-called Muslims, with the protocols and the security teams of the national security of Egypt. They would go get a car battery, all right, or a battery, and they tie it to the person's testicle and then to his toe. And if the person is not saying something that the other person wants to know, they would turn it on and electrocute the person. And they would do that daily. Even if there was no questioning, they would take them and electrocute them. And after they're done with the electrocution, and mind you, they were blindfolded the whole time, they would go back and tie them to a bed. You understand me? They would handcuff them to a bed. That's where the person would go to the toilet. That's where the person would eat. And the only thing they were given was some cheese and some water. And that's where the person was forced to pray. Do you understand me? This is a Muslim brother. This is someone who was ripped away from his family, who was ripped away from everything that God gave him just because he said something that some idiot didn't like what he said. So they jailed him, they tortured him, and they'll keep him there for 3 to 4 to 5 to years. Do you understand me? From months to years, sitting in this bed. And they're handcuffed to this bed. That's where they eat. This is where they go to the toilet. And this is where they pray. And they don't change their clothes. There's no showers. There's nothing. Do you understand that kind of path? Is this tyranny or not? You understand what you guys are saying when these people and God gave us this technology so that we can make these issues aware that our brothers, the people that are on the manhaj, some of them salaf, some of them from the brothers, some of them from, the ikhwan, some of them just any sect, they didn't care if the person said something that was outside of what they wanted to hear. They would jail him. In that community, and I mean those leaders in Egypt, there was judges that said that if the prophet was alive in this day and age, he would jail him. That's those kind of people. The grand mufti of Egypt wanted to say that the leader at the present time of Egypt is God's messenger. He was comparing him to Moses and Muhammad, that this guy is to the level of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the level of Moses alayhi salawatu wasalam. Do you understand what that means? What that person did to his own aqidah and his own manhaj? And if someone wants to rebuke these people, you're telling me you can't? Okay, so now I want to ask you a question. And this is a hadith, and it's in Musnad Ahmad, hadith 18449. Tariq ibn Shabib reported, a man asked the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what is the best jihad? The Prophet said, alayhi salawatu wasalam, a word of truth in front of a tyrannical ruler. So yes, in the days of the Salaf, they didn't have internet. There wasn't a way to go privately tell the person, or to always run into the person so you could say a word in front of them and reminding them of the religion of God. But God gave us this technology in front of us. Who made it other than God? Who gave it to you? You understand me? For us to talk about these issues. And all I did was talk about Egypt. I'm telling you, brother, when I was in jail, okay, the guard that's outside the door would tell us to shut up. He would tell us to shut our mouth, and he would insult us when we're making adhan. When we're saying Allahu Akbar, he would tell us to go to hell and to shut up and to get it over with. Those are the people that we were dealing with. And I'll tell you one thing. There was a brother in there who just traveled to a different country and came back. They arrested him. They said that this person is an Islamist, that this person is a terrorist, and they threw him in jail. They threw him in jail for a whole year. As his term was up, after a crooked judge wrote some stuff about him, put him in jail for a whole year. After the year was over, they kept him in a holding cell. Okay? The next thing he knows, while he's still in jail, mind you, he was taken back to court. The court said that this person was teaching young kids jihadism and Islamism, and this person is teaching people how to be a terrorist when this guy was already in jail. And they said that in his pocket there was 3 bullets, and guess what they did? They recycled him, put him back in jail for another year. There's people that's been stuck in Egyptian jail, being tortured, their food being stolen from them. Their family doesn't even know what's going on. They don't have even the ability to call them. Do you understand me? They've been sitting there for 2 years, and every day they sit in that jail cell with absolutely nothing, and they're just crying to God. They're crying to Allah to remove them from this pain, because this is the fitna of these people. And you're telling us we can't sit there and rebuke these tyrants who's putting your brothers through this pain just because they're speaking the word of truth. And I'm not telling about laymen's, I'm telling about certain scholars who know that the 10 qira'ats memorized. They know every book that has been brought in front of them, they have it memorized. And now you're telling us to be quiet while those people are sitting there being tortured by these animals? What is wrong with you? At what point are you going to say that these people are tyrants? And as the Prophet said, what do? You have to tell them a word of truth. What they're doing is wrong. What they're doing has got nothing to do with the religion. What they're doing is so far away from submission and so far away from Islam. And these people, you're telling me these are our leaders? What are you on about? What book are you reading? What manhaj are you following where someone can sit there? And I promise to God, I was arrested as well in Mecca. Do you know why? Because during the coronavirus, the guards there, they would decide who's allowed to come into the door and who isn't. Okay? And it was such a racist and backward mentality that you could never imagine, because people do not report on this until you go there and you see. If someone came from the United Arab Emirates, or he's from Saudi Arabia or Kuwait, he was able to walk into the haram, into the Baytullah as he pleased. No need for a nap, no need for authorization or anything. They would walk in, do whatever umrah they wanted, however long they wanted, and tawaf, sit there, pray, do whatever they want. But if a brother is from Egypt, if a brother is from Syria, Iraq, Pakistan, Afghanistan, from India, from anywhere from these countries where the majority are Muslim, the guard, I swear to God, and God is as my witness, they would go through their application looking for a hairline that was off so that they would say this word to them in Gila. Do you know what that means? It means get the hell out. Who says that in front of the house of God? Who's the man that has the courage to say that in front of the house of God? When someone is at that place, they were supposed to be in fear. These people had no fear. These people would sit there and smoke and throw their cigarette as if it's their dad's house. Do you understand me? They would kick people left and right. I personally was arrested. Do you know why? Because I passed the first gate. They said I can go. I passed the second gate like it's a military checkpoint. I get to the third gate. They told me to turn around and leave. I didn't even pray. All I did was sit there and I made sujood. I made sujood in the area, not even seeing the house, outside the last door before the haram. I just made sujood. And the guard will come to me and he'll say, Sheikh, get up. There's no prayer here. You're not allowed to pray. This person who was ordered by the government to go around and to tell people, don't pray. Do I have to listen to someone telling me don't pray? It's not like I'm in a place where I'm not allowed to pray. I'm at the house of God. Do you understand me? Even at the street, outside in the street, they will come to you and say to you, don't pray. And it's not about Corona, and it's about them giving preference to people who are allowed to pray in that area and other people are not. So me, as a response, all I said to him, كلا لا تطعه واسجد واقترب. And I prostrated again, sajadit one more time. They took me, they detained me, they handcuffed me, they questioned me. They kept me there for 6 hours. And the guard will come to me and he goes to me, hey, and I'm translating. He goes, Saudi is the crown of your head. And I tell him, no, God is the crown of my head. Allah Taj Rasi. Tell me I'm wrong. And he would give me a look like I'm crazy. These people have no idea what the religion is. And then the person who's sitting, this is the person who's in charge. Do you understand me? This is the aqid. This is the person who's in charge of the division, of the police division in Mecca, in the Haram. Do you know what he told me as a comparison and what I did as wrong? He goes, if you were in the West countries, can you go into a church and bow down in a church? What do you mean? He goes, well, if they have a rule, you can't bow down in the church. Would you bow down in a church? This person, okay, he thought that he was making a smart comment by comparing the house of God, with a place where they go prostrate to Jesus. Do you understand this connection that this man had? He's thinking that he's the authority. I do not have to listen to them. I have to rebuke these person. This is munkar. He's telling me not to pray. This wasn't for our own safety. This wasn't for the greater good, because the whole application was a joke. The whole curriculum on how they're picking people was a joke. And subhanallah, God blessed me with the ability to go visit Al-Aqsa with my brothers in Palestine who are going through torture for the last 70 years. And nobody can say, oh no, they haven't. You know very well what they're going through. And you can see how the media is always ignoring them. I swear, as God is my witness, the Zionist guards at the Aqsa who say who's allowed to come in and not come out, these Zionists were more respectful than those people that were standing at the house of God in Mecca. I was treated with not that much respect, but with a little bit more decency and humanity than those people that were sitting at Mecca. A person in Mecca, he was telling me to go walk, and I was fasting in the heat of Mecca. You understand this? He was telling me to go walk an extra 3 kilometers, go around, walk 3 extra kilometers to get to my hotel room so I could sleep after doing Qiyam al-Layl close to the Haram. Because he just didn't want me to cut through the thing, because he didn't like how I spoke to him. This is no mercy. This is no ra'af. This is them not caring that this person in front of them is a brother. These person bisuddu an sabilillah. Do you understand? They're stopping the path of God. The sabil, how you get there and you can be a better person, they're stopping that. They're taking that away from you. Do you understand that? But yes, I'm not saying every guard there is like that. The majority of them. But there are good people there that they could see and witness what's happening. And they would remind. Those people were doing their job. But the majority of them were there for the paycheck. And they were just sitting there waiting for someone to say something wrong about the leaders or about anyone who has a position of power so that they could take them and put them in jail. I promise you, brothers and sisters, when I was in Mecca, these undercover cops, undercover intelligence would come and sit next to me and they would poke at questions, okay? They would poke questions. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? What do you think about this situation? What do you think about what's happening here? Just so that you could slip in a word so that they could go put you in jail just because they know they have the power to. And as soon as they know you're not a person from the GCC, from the Gulf, they will treat you like a dog. Okay, so don't sit there and tell me that I cannot tell my brothers and sisters of what was happening and what's going on with my brothers who are going through oppression, through complete oppression, tyranny. You understand that this is, at what point do you say that the person tagha, and taghut comes from the word tagha. Do you understand what tagha means? That this person went way and above what he's allowed to do. This person became a tyrant. And as I said, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the best jihad is to say the truth in front of those people. And I'll tell you something else. The whole system, and this is what you're supporting, you madkhalis, as other people call you, bootlickers. This is what you're supporting, so you know how you might consider where you're walking into nifaq, where you're being a hypocrite. These systems are designed to scare the population so that they don't take the person off the chair that he's sitting there thinking that God put him there. And I'll tell you why. Because the West has it a system, if these people don't listen like good dogs, they get removed. And someone else will come be put in their place who is a good dog. But these people will not sit there and oppress the West. No, they will oppress their own people to be quiet. And it's in fear. And it's in oppression. And they don't just hurt you, they'll hurt your whole family. Not put you in a fair judge and they tell you what's your problem and they put you in a case and they put you in where you're supposed to belong and give you a fair, honest trial. No, it's all lies. It's all tahmeel. Do you understand? Let's just lift these charges and put him in jail or kill him. Do you know this is all based on fear? And in Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, there's an ayah, it says, إنما ذلكم الشيطان يخوف أولياءه فلا تخافوهم وخافوني إن كنتم مؤمنين صدق الله العظيم. The verse is saying it is that the devil, that's the devil who scares his allies, right? So he can have control. He's the one who's scaring his allies. Don't be scared of them. And be scared of Allah, be scared of me if you were believers. So if you're truly a believer, you don't be scared of what these devils are doing. And yes, they are devils. They're killing, they're ordering the killing of other Muslims. At what point does that stop? At what point do you say, hey, that's wrong? Because that's not what we were ordered to do. God put the religion, al-manhaj, al-sharia, the whole system, the whole process, the whole law, the whole religion is to stay united. You can't sit there and tell me that these people who are ordering believers to be put to death for absolutely no crime other than being Yemeni, other than living in Damascus in Syria, living in Iraq, all these kids that are being tortured. You sit there and you pass these videos of these American so-called heroes that come home to their kids and they're all lovey-dovey. Well, what about the fathers that were put in the grave under these tyrants' rules that can't go back to their children and hug them? You're telling me to shut up? You're telling me I can't rebuke them? Me as a Muslim, I'm not a doormat. I can say what I want to say, and if I go to jail, that's my consequence. You don't tell me about the Salaf and the manhaj and people when my brothers are dying. Do you understand that? When they're sitting in jail for no reason, do you understand that?
They have no food. Do you understand that? The only thing they eat is cheese, and then they pee in the same bed where they're eating, and they pray with their eyes. What are you talking about? I can't speak against them? What world are you living? What book are you reading? And we're not welcome mats. People don't step on us and we say, that's what the Christians do. We say the word of truth. And when we need to stand on the haqq, we stand on the haqq even if it's going to kill us. We're not telling you to go out and rebel. We're not telling you to go kill people. We're telling you to speak the truth. Because if enough people spoke the truth, these people might reconsider the hell that they might be driven to. What are you talking about? That we need to shut up. We can't say it in public. Then go find me those scholars that are telling them in public or in private. They sit in jail for the rest of their lives. These people are criminals. These people are dogs. These people are animals. Who's the Kharij? Huh? Who's the one who's telling people not to pray? Was that a Muslim? Do I have to obey him? Or do I have to obey the leader from my country who's telling me to go kill my brothers? Do I have to obey him and not say, oh, you're wrong? Whoever kills a soul is like he killed the whole world, an innocent soul. How many children are dead today, just today? And you're telling us to shut up so you can sit in your chair with your big beard and you tell people, oh, this guy is deviant. This guy is a munafiq. This guy is a kharij. What about these stupid leaders? Those people are not deviants. Are those people not munafiqs? What is wrong with you? This is how you guys talk to each other. So why aren't you listening to me? Don't sit there and ever rebuke or tell somebody he's a dog of hellfire, because we had enough. We had enough. You think we want to sit in the West? We don't want to sit in the West. But they tortured us. They killed our people. They killed our families. They left us with nothing. For them to sit on their stupid chair and buy billion-dollar cars, million-dollar cars, billion-dollar houses, and sit there and talk around as if they're our leaders. They're not our leaders. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have disassociated from all those people. He would have rebuked them. Are you telling me, Omar, and this is not based on text, this is just proper logic. What minhaj are you on? It's just who you are. Are you telling me, Omar, Ali, Abu Bakr, Uthman, radiallahu anhum, if someone came to him in Mecca and said to him, you can't pray here, what would have they done? Like, think, what would this man do if someone came to him in Mecca and said, you can't pray here, get up, you can't pray here? He would have put him on that clock tower that they built. And if he didn't, may God forgive me for I said that was incorrect, but you could see these people's mentalities. They stand for haqq. You guys are not standing for haqq when you're sitting there making all these responses to refute a brother who said Halloween, freaking Halloween is a pagan holiday. And if you God said in the Quran, if you ally, okay, or if you follow the desires of those who are not, you are like them. You are them. You're a kafir. This is what God said. Don't say we're takfiri and don't say we're putting blanket takfir. The Quran is all takfiri. The Quran is telling you who's a kafir, who's a where it's not for us to say that that's his final judgment, but God put the book down for us to judge. You can't sit there as a Muslim ruler and say that it's okay, it's all right to go play Halloween in Mecca or in the land of Islam, the birth of this religion. You understand me? Where's the problem in that? And yeah, they're killing our brothers. Yeah, they're allying with the Jews and Christians, which is not something that we're supposed to do. And brother, don't let me even open up the stories with Palestine, because I went and seen the people. It's not even the fact that the Zionists are oppressing them. Our leaders, these Muslim leaders, are going there and trying to take money out of them. They're the ones who put these taxes and these systems and these banks just so that they could milk them like sheep. And they don't help them. And they don't give them much. They give them just enough to eat and drink and try to make money to get by. And then they incite these evil regimes in between each other just to cause more divisions. And it's all done by the who's paying? Who do you think is paying other than these oil monsters? Don't you ever conflict the issues. We're not sitting here telling people to rebel. We're making it aware for you and for the whole world and for the day of judgment, so you can hear these words once again. They're killing my brothers. They're killing my family. They're killing my cousins. They're killing my sisters. They're killing my kids. They're killing everybody. They're killing anybody who speaks something. You can't have a job. You can't have a job. Look at Jordan. The most of the people my age don't have a job because the money is so tied up in some people's pockets. They're so scared to pay a little bit just in case they lose their chair of power. What are you talking about? Look at Lebanon. Look at Lebanon. They have oil. What's that gonna help them when they have absolutely nothing else? They have no place to eat. What, they're supposed to be quiet against these tyrants that are killing people day left and right, and then what, just because the guy put a video and he prayed 2 times a day, that's it, he's a Muslim in our eyes and we have to obey him as long as he doesn't. They're breaking the most of what's written in the Quran. They're breaking. Don't you ever, how dare you sit there and rebuke our brothers who are standing against the tyrants because you don't have the courage or the backbone to do so.